Alright, so hello out there, everybody there who is watching me. This is Taro, and I am here with another, not a full arena of view. Not a full arena review of the core set. I will do that later. Part one here is I'm going to be talking about the changes to how the core set is basically going to change arena. So, anyone who does not know, instead of the standard basic and classic sets, sorry, wrong one, where's HS replay? HS replay right here. Instead of the basic and classic sets here, which makes up about 343 cards, we are now instead going to have a core set that rotates each year, which has 235 cards split among all the classes. So there are going to be some key changes when it comes to Arena. So first off, I want to take a look here. This is the Hearth Arena tier list, and this is like the standard tier list. Like, you can disagree on specific cards, but for the most part, it's correct. If we take a look here, we take a look at neutrals, we see that the 50 to 70 zone, the average and the above average cards, we see that they make up a significant portion. But we also see over here, we've got the below average, we've got bad, and we've got terrible. These make up a large portion of the cards that we see in Arena. And they make up a much larger portion than the good and great cards that we see. And it becomes relatively worse when we get down to epics. Like, actually, it actually becomes a little better. But okay, never mind. Anyway, so you can see here, epics, same thing. Rares, they've gotten better at it, and the goods kind of outweigh the real bads here. But point being, it's kind of a split. It's kind of a split between these cards and these cards here. But these cards they make up around the same size as the average and the above average. If you add them, they're going to be a little bit less, like maybe 75% less, but not that much off. So what I've done here is I have a very, very poorly made, kind of like copying the Hearth Arena tier list, and I've color-coded for cards that are coming, that have changed, or completely brand new cards are coming in. Now, as you can see here, the 50 to 70 tier right here, there's still quite a few cards. But if we take a look here, these are all the cards that are under a 50. And yes, I know, 30 starts here. And you can see how few cards there are. And even if we take a look at 30, 30 is like bottom of the barrel. You don't want to pick these cards. So that's Murloc, Tidecaller, Toxicologist, Tiny Fin, Cold Light Seer, Barren River there, Clockwork Giant, maybe Arcane Devourer. Basically, all the bad cards are gone from Arena. Like, there's like so few cards here that are really unpickable. Like, the worst card you might need to take is a 2-mana 2/2 that's decent in weapon classes, or a couple of them that are like that. So what I'm talking about here is, now when we take a look at the 50 to 55 tier here, you can see some cards here. So this is River Croc. This is Voodoo Doctor, Arcane Anomaly, Youthful Brewmaster, Jungle Panther. You see, take a look at all these cards, and the thing is, this is now the floor for Arena. If you take a look at old sets, like I was looking at some of my old sets, I didn't review that much, but for last year, there's been very few cards which I can say are bad cards. Last couple of years, like these are just some like this is from Dark Moon races. There were very few bad cards from the Dark Moon races. If I open up Dark Moon Fair neutrals, and I have the neutral cards sorted by the ones I thought would be horrible. And so, like the really, really, really horrible cards, what have you got? You got Rock Rager, Dark Moon Statue, underrated. Banana Vendor, that's not even that horrible. Gyre Worm, which is good in elemental decks. Inconspicuous Rider, which is good in secret decks. And like that's it. Like Knife Vendor. So you see, like all these cards, like Rock Rager, it's bad, but it's playable. Safety Inspector is perfectly fine. Cathedral Ritualist, bad. Derailed Coaster, I'm massively underrated. That's a great card. Epics, there were no bad cards. And I could go back and I could cite all the other previous sets, but there aren't really bad cards anymore. And the point I'm trying to make here is, now we take a look at this 50 to 60 range. This is now the bad card zone. And that needs to be like, that's one of the biggest things that people need to understand. The average card in your deck, like, this is going to be the low end. Getting a on curve 2-drop is one of the worst cards that you're going to have in your deck, just by numbers. Which means, like, when we have like all these 60, 70, 80, like we go back up here. Like we see the claw machines, the dirigibles, the circus amalgams, the circus medics, the pearl tusk, the wriggling cores, the optimistic ogres. These are now going to be, like, the claw machine is going to be a good card, but these are going to be the average cards in your deck. For a long time, the average was the Shaman Yeti, which perfectly lines up. Like the average, like if you map it out from 0 to 100, a 66 would be probably the average card you would draft in your deck, and that's a Shaman Yeti. And now the Yeti is going to be, like, it was a good card. Now the Yeti is going to be average at best, maybe even a below average card. So the conception of power level in Arena that we have has to change. That's number one. Number two, a secondary change here. Remember here, the core set has 235 cards. So currently, the basic and classic set, you can add these up together. That's 383 cards in basic and classic. Let me double check. Let me just go to standard. Yeah, 383 cards together. So 140 cards are leaving that are not going to come back. Now, that might be replaced by an old expansion. I'm not sure what will happen. But that's going to change the offering odds as well in Arena. Because previously, as I mentioned, you have like 343 old base. Let's see, did I have standard here? Like here, previously, like we had 240 classic cards. And a lot of these cards, you can tell. Let's go to the neutrals. Go over to neutral. All right. And a lot of these cards are bad cards that have no place in Arena. So this is, a lot of these cards are going. Like, again, we can take a look here. If we look by 2-drops, this is like one of the big things that's going to be missing. We got 21 2-drops in Classic. If we take a look at Basic, so we have like 39 2-drops in Classic and Basic. And if we take a look at Core, we've got 18. So we're losing a lot of the key cards from Classic and Basic that kind of like made up the base of Hearthstone. And with this, that means there's going to be a lot of other cards that are going to be offered, because you still get the same 90 cards total offered in Arena. So those are the two key things that I wanted to point out here. Number one, the floor, what a bad card is going to change. Number two, you're going to see a lot fewer cards, a lot that are going to be offered, which means that a lot of the more powerful cards are going to be offered itself. Number three is actually going over here. These are all the changes, and specifically the cards are being removed. And this is the easiest way to look at it. So the key thing with what's being removed is Blizzard does not want us to be able to deal damage from hand to the face. So they removed, and if you take a look at the majority of these cards, these are cards, staple cards, that give attack damage. Okay, so we got Slayer here, Glavebound Adept, Inner Demon. Okay, we get over to Druid. What do we got here? Druid loses Claw a little bit. We got some bad cards here. Bad card. That's probably getting unnerfed. That's a card that can go face. Swipe goes face. Bite goes face. Savage Roar would always go face. Mark of Nature could go face, and it's a bad card by itself. We take a look at Hunter. Hunter got massively nerfed. Huffer's gone. Eaglehorn Bow is gone. Kill Command is gone. Unleash the Hounds is gone. Houndmaster, which buffs damage, is gone. Tundra Rhino gives I'm moving around too much here. Tundra Rhino gives Beast Charge. They can go face. That's gone. Gladiator's Longbow. That allowed a lot of damage for hunters to go face in Arena. That's gone. If we take a look at Mage, Mage is losing a lot of their free stuff. They're losing Polymorph, one of their best removals, and they're losing, in particular for Arena, Pyroblast. Pyroblast was like one of the most dangerous cards that a Mage could have, and it completely changed just the threat of Pyroblast meant that you had to play completely differently around a mage. Paladin, they don't have that much phase stuff, but the things they have, like Hammer of Wrath, that's gone. Holy Wrath, that's gone. Avenging Wrath, that's weird that it's gone because Mage got Mask of Cthulhu, and you have the Cthulhu thing that can does basically the same thing. But what does one of the Cthulhu pieces do? I forget if one of the Cthulhu pieces does the same thing. I haven't played enough with Cthulhu. But okay, point being is like Hammer of Wrath, which is like deal damage. That's got Holy Wrath, which an entire archetype is gone. Priest is actually getting things, but Priests are just losing a lot of their steal your shit cards. Like they lose Thought Steal, they lose Shadow Madness, they lose Cabal, they lose Mind Games, bad card. Mind Control, that's a huge loss for Mage. You take a look at Rogue, they lose either way. They lose things that can remove your taunts, like Sap or Kidnapper or Plaguebringer. They remove face damage cards like Eviscerate. Edwin Van Cleef, that was probably going to get. I'm going to guess that's going to get unnerved. Shaman, similarly, they lose a lot of their things. Like they lose a lot of cheap, mediocre spells, but they lose Flame Tongue, which I would bet would be unnerved. They lose Lava Burst. They lose Bloodlust, which is a huge nerf. Warlock does not actually lose all that much outside really Soulfire and Voidwalker. And Warrior, Warrior loses a lot of their staple things that go face as well. They lose Battle Rage for draw. They lose Heroic Strike, that goes face. They lose Core Crown Elite, which in Arena that goes face. They lose Arcanite Reaper, which in Arena that goes face. They lose Mortal Strike, which in Arena that goes face. So when you take a look at all the things that are missing, especially from the from classes, there is very little. There are very few cards left that go face from hand. Not just charge, but spells that go face or things that can buff a giant board so it can go face. And this changes every class. It changes it doesn't just change how you play each class, but it changes how you play around each class. Like Hunter, as an example, we go back to Hunter. Hunter has lost. Go back here. They've lost Animal Companion. They've lost Kill Command. Like a Hunter, they lost Kill Command. Where's Kill Command? Kill Command. So you no longer have to fear a board where they get Unleash the Hounds. You no longer have to fear double Kill Command with a Hero Hour and dying from 12 damage. So you can play a much more board-oriented game against Hunter. Priest, you no longer have to hold your big minion against Priest, especially going into turn 10. That Plagued Proto-Drake, you no longer have to have that consideration of playing around Mind Control, and if they have it. Like, I am actually sad about this because I really did enjoy the Mind Control mind games with it, but I understand how it can be good. You no longer have to have that feeling of a Cabal. You just play your thing, and not as much anymore, but in the past, Cabal Shadow Priest would just like steal whatever OP 2-minute attack thing you had. So you can be a lot more comfortable playing these things. You no longer have to deal with like Shadow Madness, taking two things and making a massive swing in the mid game. Rogue has lost a significant portion of its identity in being able to hard move your stuff. Like, no matter how much Sap and Kidnapper got macro adjusted to the point where they were barely in Arena, these cards were still in the back of your mind when you were playing around a Rogue. Like, playing around Assassinate is not the same thing. Plaguebringer, similarly, like even though they got Plague Scientist back in there, just the threat of Plaguebringer and how easy it could come off, it's not the same thing. So like they're losing a lot of the identity. They're losing their Eviscerate identity. Shamans, Druids, you don't have to fear large boards anymore, especially with them losing a lot of their attack damage. Same thing, Druids. As I said, not even just that, but Druids. I liked playing Druid because they were one of the few classes that had reliable access to cards that could go face. Like I could not tell you how many games I won because I had two swipes that went face, or I had a Starfire that I was holding in my back pocket to go face for that last little bit of damage. So these changes that they made are going to significantly impact how you play around each class in Arena. You have to pretty much unlearn everything Arena was. And these are all reflected over here in the core cards. So part one here is just me introducing this. Uh, what I'm going to say is this: the reason I did it like this. Usually I would just do and I would give these cards a rating, but the reason I'm doing it like this is because of this. I think Hearth Arena in particular, they're going to have to change their ratings because, uh, like as I said, this is a 50, but this is a 50 on a scale where a Grimscale Oracle was like a 6. When you lose all of these cards, the very low end of your cards, as I mentioned, the very low end of your cards is now going to be here. Or it's going to be like around here. But these are like the bad never pick cards anymore because they're the very worst cards unless you have a deck that really, really, really goes with it. And then that makes these cards the cards you really don't want in your deck. And you can take a look, these are just like average cards. Like they're cards that are like staples of Arena. They're cards you used to be happy with. And now because of how much the power level of the deck is shifting, like you're going to have to readjust. If the Lightforge, if they were still doing tier lists, then the Lightforge, like I cannot imagine what the numbers would be. Like I think right now, Abakuto and Merps, I haven't talked to them about this recently, but I think they're excited that they don't have to update their algorithm and adjust for like all these cards leaving and all the new cards coming in and what is the new standard. Like maybe they still have maybe the algorithm still works kinda. Maybe they can give an idea of like what would be in the current set a 100. But yeah, so right now I don't feel comfortable, and I think until the meta settles, I'm not going to feel comfortable with giving cards a numerical rating. So when I go over the cards, like I'll go over the cards that changed, and I'll go over the new cards that are going to rotate in. I'm going to basically just do a star system. So a 0-star card is like anything that's here, like a 45 and under. These are cards you never want. 1-star card is going to be anything here. And remember, 1-star now includes River Crocolisk, Bloodsail Raider, some Reaver Spy, just like generic 2-drops, generic 3-drops. A 2-star card is going to be cards that you like. They're cards that do things. Like your 4-drops that do things, your 5-drops that are really useful, your 3-drops are really useful. Like a Lone Champion is a 2-star card. A 3/4 on 4, 3/4 on 3 is a 2-star card. And then 3 is going to be cards that like these are good cards. These are the cards. This is like going to be, I would say, where the average card is probably going to be in your deck. And then 4 is basically from here to here, and 5 is anything that's over a 100. All right. So when I come back, I'm going to go over the changes with you. I will see you guys then. Thanks for watching.